We often say in editorial to lead with empathy. And it's one of the instructions we put in our briefs and the way we describe how to write a compelling introduction. But what does that actually mean? It's a really fine line between empathy and pity. And it's something that I see a lot when I am working with YMYL topics. These are going to be things that impact your money or your life, things like medical or finance. In those situations, a lot of people are coming in a vulnerable position in their life, and they want to be met with dignity, kindness, clarity, and the answer that they need so that they can take the next step. Uh, the problem with starting an intro with a sentence that's like acknowledges their situation like this, like, oh, we know that you can like be overwhelmed or this process can be overwhelming or it's confusing. It sounds like you're trying to meet them where they are. But the issue is that like, you know, it's a little bit patronizing and condescending because like all of us are going through shit in life. And I don't want to walk up to my friend and ask for advice and have them be like, oh my God, that sucks so bad for you. I just want them to be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you need to do. So sometimes the most compassionate way to answer the question is to just get to the freaking point. And we can see that example a lot in bankruptcy. So if you're an individual and you're filing like chapter 7 or 13, uh you, you might be tempted to start with something like, we know that facing bankruptcy like can be challenging, or you want to make sure that you make the right choice between these two things. That's just it's an unnecessary sentence, but it's also unsure how the person is going to receive it. And so it's better to just leave it out altogether and skip right to the answer. So I pulled up a couple examples so we can see what that looks like. Um, so this is from Experian. They've given you a quick answer right at the top, and then there's like a weird stock photo. And then they explain that there's two main forms, chapter 7 or 13. Um, this is kind of like not that clear. I would just edit it for clarity. This could be simplified even more, but at least they just define each thing really succinctly. So let's go to the next one. Yeah, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. Choosing between chapter 7 and 13 is a crucial decision for individuals seeking debt relief, and it can be a challenging and emotional process. This guide is designed to da, 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 da. Uh, it's fine to mention this. Like we want you to be able to make an informed choice about which is right for your unique situation. Oh, and this could just be my opinion. But I just don't find this additive. I find it patronizing. Like, yeah, it's a challenging and emotional process. And I'm sure that this person knows that because they're an attorney. But have they been through it themselves? Am I going to feel like, oh, they really get me? Or like, oh, if they haven't done this, then do they get me? And that's one of the hardest parts about writing about topics like this is that the thing that you do might be received in an opposite manner than you're intending. So oftentimes clarity is really the most important part. And simplicity. If I'm reading this and it's like it's better suited for low income filers with few assets and qualifying debts, I'd be like, is that me? I don't know. And so in this kind of situation, it's, these the chart is great, but like I would want to know, what is this? Uh, this is a lot easier to understand. But again, the intro is a little bit tough when you could just explain the answer in the intro. Here's a nice summary from lawyers. Yeah, here's another one. This can be confusing and complex to understand, but an experienced lawyer can help you through the process. And that's true. These kinds of sites have a unique situation from the other sites, which is that they can actually solve the reader's query. So they can meet intent in a way that, an article, um, so like Experian is credit reporting. They can't meet intent in a unique way like a lawyer can. And let's see. Again, this is a little bit better because they are like explaining up front that there's stigma and misconception around it. So I'm like less offended by this than I am by the first sentence. Um, but again, it's kind of like I don't need to be reiterated of like the shit situation I'm in as I'm here. I just want to know what to do to get out. This is more clear than the other one. The other one is like, wait, thing in the app check got exempt asset. I couldn't even understand it because of income requirements. That makes a little bit more sense. What is this? The NFCC. So here's a nonprofit. Again, like this might be alienating since I might be one of these people. I don't know. Uh, really, the only kinds of new information here is this. There are several types of bankruptcy, and each one can affect your credit and finances differently. If you deleted all this, like this, you could just leave this sentence here and it would be fine. All right, let's look at this one and then move on. Upsolve. In a nutshell, this should be formatted differently, not as text. Like it should be bullets. All these things should be bullets because the whole part of this is it's supposed to be a nutshell. All right, this one is better. I like this a little bit more in terms of empathy. Bankruptcy can be a powerful debt relief tool and has helped people get back on their feet. You don't have to be embarrassed by the idea because there is stigma around it. And they're speaking directly to them instead of the other one that was like, many Americans think it's weird. It's okay to think it's weird. You don't have to be embarrassed. So, uh, there's no shame in using this legal tool. I like this paragraph. I feel like it should be in the intro. Okay. And then they've got all these. I just want to see. Okay, this is good empathy. Like the most important thing you can do is take action as soon as possible. Ignoring it won't make it go away. Clarity and transparency, which and we call it being straight up, which doesn't always mean sugarcoating or, making them feel good or saying, isn't it overwhelming? Like just, this is urgent. There's a sense of urgency here. And knowing when to use each of those writing approaches is what we talked about last time in the other video, the user needs matrix, understanding where the user is in their mind so that you can come in and say, okay, it's important I mention the stigma, or it's important that I have a sense of urgency. Two different approaches, two different topics. Okay, so back to um, our document. We had a couple examples of this that we did not like. And that is also, so not only is it like a little bit of pity, but it's also like you're labeling the emotion. It's too obvious. It's like, we know you're confused. Like, yeah, I know. What do I do here? And this is why I liked that example of the bankruptcy nonprofit because they are giving really clear instructions without like talking down to you. Okay, so what are the key ingredients that we've seen? Transparency, the answer's up front, it's kind, it's honest. We call it like it's straight up the same way a friend would be like, "Hey, I hate to tell you this, but like, here's some feedback." Your friend's still going to do it, but they're going to be a little bit more straight up about it than a stranger who's like, "Oh my God, no, that sweater's great." So then we want to address the emotional state without naming it. We talked about that paragraph about the stigma and addressing that. The sentiment matches the sensitivity or the heaviness of the topic. So the sentiment there is, we just talked about the two different ones. Clarity and speed in the answer versus acknowledgement of the stigma and the shame. And fast, comprehensive answer. So sometimes uh, the most supportive thing that we can do is get to the point. Imagine you're landing on an article about bankruptcy. Would you want to be told, like, hey, I know how you feel, friend? Yeah, probably not. And the last one is non-judgmental. We're avoiding condescension and victim blaming. It's a fine line between empowerment and asking the reader to take responsibility, especially in articles about like credit score or situations where a lot of circumstances have to come together for them to be where they are at any given moment. And so the only thing that we can do is just meet them where they are and guide them to the next step. Make sure they have everything to get to the next step. So, what ties it all together? The key of empathy is about finding the emotional thread that all the readers have, regardless of their demographics, regardless of, whether they're this or that. Everyone is feeling something in that moment, and an empathetic lead-in is going to provide the promise of relief to all of them, no matter who they are. That relief is just knowing that they have a plan. Typically, it's like, oh, I just feel good that I have a plan. And what's the plan? It's like, well, I know that I have enough information to move to the next step. So as long as you're giving them enough information to move to the next step, they're going to feel like they have a plan. If they feel like they have a plan, they're going to feel a little bit of relief from the confusion, the overwhelm, all those feelings that brought them to the article in the first place. So you don't even have to mention them. You can just fulfill your promise that you're going to bring them through the step to the end of the journey and give them all the information they need to get there. Okay, so another example is like, let's see, we talked about the first time home buyer versus a second home buyer. This person's going to be way more excited and need a lot more information than this person who is going to need a lot more like practicality around the finances before they can get excited about, you know, the ski chalet or the hot tub or whatever it is. Because I know a vacation home is probably very exciting if the numbers work. So then SR22, this is like a specialized insurance that you have to get when you are like under a court ordered high risk driver. Uh, so here's an example is like when you go to USAA and you look at an article about this, it's just going to start and say something like SR22 insurance is you can obtain it through your normal insurance provider, right? We'd be tempted an affiliate to be like, you can buy it right here, baby. But the truth is that you can just call whoever you have. So again, sometimes the most empathetic thing we can do is get to the point and be transparent about the answer you would give if you were someone's friend. And a lot of time the answer you would give if you were someone's friend is like the hot tip that you know without the bubblegum sugar coat around it. That's lead with empathy. Thank you so much, everybody.